Hey guys, it's Nao. Welcome back to our third video in our series on the numerological procession in the minor arcana. So we have arrived at the third cycle of 3. This is the expanded level. So at the previous level, the actualized level, we took something out of the nebulous state that it was in, and we actually brought it into manifestation. We put it through its paces when it came to the forces of change around us, and we got it moving in a nice cyclical pattern in accordance with natural cycles. So now it's time to take it to the next level. At the expanded level, we're going to experience innovation, restructure and reorder in the aftermath of all of that crazy fun innovation. And then we're going to bring all of those puzzle pieces together to form a complete picture. So let's get into the sevens. So the comfort that we've established and the cyclical patterns that we've gotten into at the 6th level now is starting to feel boring. It's feeling stale. It's feeling too repetitious. We're over it. We're not into it anymore. Even though it is comfortable, it's kind of just not feeling it anymore. So now is the time where you take the stability that you have and you use it to start creating and experimenting and seeing what ways can you push the limits of this cycle. What will happen if you move something over here and take that over there? What happens when you throw spaghetti on the ceiling? Oh, there's the need for variety, for change, and there's a playfulness to this vibration and its experimentation. It's kind of like a mad scientist, mad inventor kind of energy, because you want to figure out what you can create and manifest with the resources that you already have. However, you're not really fixed on what the outcome's going to be. You don't really know. You recognize that there's no real way of knowing what happens through this process. So it's just a matter of doing it to just see what happens. What are the results? What can possibly be gained out of all of this manic, crazed activity? But make sure you go through it knowing that attaching yourself to an outcome is only going to bring discomfort. It's not really about the outcome right now, more about the process. In the cards, we see a lot of different themes and different elements at play in the 7th level. I think the one that obviously really shows the theme of sevenness is actually comes through in the Cups card, where we see that there's all of these choices and these options and these different ways that you can go and experience things. But it's also showing part of the pitfalls of this as well, because you can spread yourself too thin. You can go, there are some lines that shouldn't be crossed. With the 7 of Swords, we can see the trickery that kind of comes in play when you realize, oh, you can use information and ideas to get what you want, but not always in the best kinds of ways. But more on that in another video. So now that we've done all of this experimentation, we've gotten all this data back from all of the things that we've just experienced at the 7 level, we move on to 8ness. And 8 is all about saying, holy crap, what have I just done? It's looking at the giant mess in your laboratory of your life and going, oh God, I need to clean this up. I need to fix this. My eyeball itched, I'm sorry. So you realize at this stage that you can't play the mad scientist forever. It expends a lot of energy. And yeah, you do learn a lot of information, but not all of it's actually useful. So at this point, it's time to clear up the lab. It's time to get back to basics and kind of time to retreat inward a little bit, because now that you've gotten all of this data, you need to sift through it and figure out what is actually relevant to what you want in life and how are you going to move forward from here. You're also seeing that there are so many variables that come into play, and that in order for things to actually move through this process of manifestation, you have to have the steps in order. You have to have things in place. And you yourself as a person needs to be more stable. So in 8s, we see a lot of the imagery of kind of retreat, of moving back, but also of getting the ducks in the row before we move onward. Take time to relax, take time to heal, and take time to integrate all of the knowledge that you just learned and get your life back in order. And once you have things all lined up, you can then progress onto the 9. So now that you've gotten things back in order and back on a good rhythm again, it's time to bring it all together. All of the things that you've learned starting at the Ace and moving all the way up to the 9, it's time to bring it all home. like little baby salmon. You're calling it all back into yourself to be integrated fully. At the 6th level, we were all about basic cycles. And at the 9 level, it's about integrated cycles, about ones that interlock and interweave. So instead of it just being maybe a single pattern that's rotating through, at the 9 level, you have more interlocking patterns that connect to everything else. You are able to compare things. You are able to plan for things. You're able to give things structure. You are able to withstand the forces of change. You are able to get things on a predictable pattern. You're capable of experimenting and expanding on what you know. But then you're also capable of contracting and ordering all of the information. And you're able to integrate this into a complete understanding of the suit that you are working with, whether that is the mental realm, the spiritual realm, the emotional realm, or the physical realm. Now I know what you're thinking. You're looking at the imagery of some of the 9s and going, what? Huh? What about that's integrated? But again, just hold your horses. I know, I'm such a tease. So now we've arrived at 10. So we're no longer in the 3 cycles of 3. We're kind of at a tipping point. 10 is the card of transition. We're transitioning out of the number cards and we're transitioning into the court. So at the 9, we had an integrated cycle, an integrated set of patterns and rhythms that were working and flowing and connecting. And now 10 is the mark where you've completed it. You've reached the point of completion. You can't really expand much further, except for in just tiny micro tuning. That's all that's left to do. So you have fully developed numerologically through the minor arcana. You've reached the completion point of number. So here you have a choice. You have all of this resource and this knowledge that you've built up by going from the ace to the 10. So now you have to decide, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to stay at this point and just be happy and content with the way that things are, or will you move on further? The thing at the 10 stage is that it's not a challenge anymore. It's almost like the energy is running itself. You really don't have to do much to it in order for it to continue on, to perpetuate. It kind of becomes almost self-sustaining. But again, just like we saw at the 6s, we know that that pattern, that flow, can get kind of boring. It can get monotonous, and you don't really grow anymore from that point. Is that where you want to stay? The choice is, do you want to recommit to the energy that you are working with and dive deeper into it? Or do you want to start something new? Do you want to hit the reset button and go back to the ace level, maybe in a different suit, or just maybe go all the way back to the fool and go through the fool's journey? What do you want to do? Something that comes up often at this stage is hesitation. You're not sure which choice you want to make, but you have to be mindful of the fact that hesitating for too long turns into the whole not making a choice thing, which is still making a choice, but is not making, you know what I mean. Okay, you guys, so that is it for this video on the numerological procession in the minor arcana. That was the 3rd video in our series of 4, so stay tuned for the final video in which we will cover the court cards. Hope to see you guys then. Bye.